Just fucking do it. Subscribe now.
Are you going to talk about how much they committed?
Yeah, they probably committed between 30.
No, so yeah, the 35,000 each.
Yeah, 35. Yeah.
Or is that
No.
what you're talking about?
Oh, we talked about it before.
No, it's fine. Add it in here. That's what I was saying. We have that.
It's called the picture stuff is disjointed, and what we have to do is I have a coherent outline that's crisp and easy for people to follow. So that's okay. So you know, here was their pitch.
Yeah.
Okay, they were all in. That's the first thing they had to do was convince the investors that they were burning the boats. There was no exit strategy. It was either success or death. Yeah. They targeted 15 investors. They got 12 to commit $35,000 each, which netted them $545,000 for their search fund, if you will, to live off of for those 2 years.
It doesn't matter if we've repeated that statistic again, because you can tie it back and say...
These are the Stanford kids.
Yeah, Stanford kids. Mm-hmm. The search fund.
Both lazy shits.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we were saying.
That's what we were saying.
Yeah, I mean...
There's no risk. They got...
Yeah, but most of the guys that do this don't get paid by anybody to do anything. But they...
Yeah, they got a retainer. I mean, they had no credibility, except for Stanford.
Well, I mean, and a lot of guys and gals ride at Stanford. We had a guy here a number of years ago. His claim to fame is he gave the first term sheet to Zuckerberg for the Facebook. The first private equity guy to give a term sheet to Zuckerberg, what Zuckerberg turned down. But he's getting rich off that.
Just connecting.
Just because Zuckerberg, and
Zuckerberg saw him.
Yeah.
Wow.
But didn't accept the term sheet, and the okay.
Yeah. I need to prepare all this again, so if we do it again.
It's okay.
Yeah, but then we continue to sourcing the deals.
So how do they start looking for you?
Right.
How do they source the deals?
Yeah.
Their deals.
Yeah, they reach out for 200 cold calls.
2,000.
2,000 every day.
It's not every day. No, nobody's making 2,000 cold calls a day.
That's how it's.
Yeah. No. You're 2,000 cold calls away from being rich. Really legitimate cold calls, not secretaries, not left messages, etc., etc.
Conversations.
Yeah.
They were looking for a single acquisition, but they didn't know their target. They didn't even know what they were doing, so they started sourcing it through networking it with the brokers and their friends and trying to figure out.
Well, Stanford alumni, you could get 1,000 deals in a week. Stanford alumni. And for those guys that went to schools like that, and we do have them come through here, I mean, it's easier. It's easier. Now, some of the guys that went to the Harvards, etc., are embarrassed to go back to their alumni base because their alumni base they perceive are substantially more successful than them. So they are embarrassed to call, like selling pencils with their hat in their hand, etc. I wish the fuck I had gone to one of those schools. God damn. Yeah. But I would have milked those cocksuckers. There wouldn't be a nickel between them. You know? But when you go to those schools, it's easier to tap your alumni base. I mean, in New York, you go to the Harvard Club, you go to the Yale Club. I mean, everybody. Not everybody's super successul, but there are a lot of successful kids.
No, it smells like success in there.
Yeah.
Whether it's real or not, you smell it.
Yeah. And it's just the advantage they have. Mm-hmm. Just like the Oxford-Cambridge Club in London. I mean, it reeks of centuries of success. You know, the Rothschild, you know Rothschild walked that hall. You know he sat at dinner at one of those tables.
Different world.
Yeah, it is. It is. And in that regard, it is who you know. Okay. And but a lot of those guys, their dream is to go to one of those great schools, go to the city, which is the financial district in London, and become a main board director of one of the big financial tech companies or one of the financial companies. And that's, and retire, buy a place in Surrey or something for a retirement home. And very, very few people in London, as opposed to New York, work 40 years. 20, 25 years is a career.
Really?
Yeah. 25. And then they
boards.
What?
They go boards.
Exactly. They sit on 8, 10, 11 boards, getting $200 grand each. And that's pretty easy work. It's pretty. But now they're worried about corporate governance. In the last 10 years, the corporate governance thing has come across the water from across the Atlantic, and now the people are worried about. They're not so much worried about getting sued. They're worried about losing face. Because, supposedly there's 100 movers and shakers in London. Like I used to be. I'm not one of those guys now. And if you are disgraced, nobody, you're out of that group. You're not in the 100 anymore. And that's where those 100, the deals that get done in London are sourced by those 100 people and the firms that they're with. And that's it. Wow. And but people have gotten rich on just the crumbs that fall off that table. They don't want the crumbs. Mm-hmm. They want to sit at the table like a grown-up. Yeah, but a lot of deals get done. They just put lipstick on a pig. But if some of these firms, like in the old days, if you got the Bank of England and the Church of England, the shareholders, it was a done deal. They were two of my major shareholders, okay? If you got the Prudential, it was a done deal. When you got a sovereign fund like the Kuwaitis, it was just a done deal. Because they presuppose that they did a lot of due diligence, and they have staff to do due diligence. But once you do one deal with them, you're part of the club. They look at the numbers, so make sure you're sharp. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to reinvest again. They're going to reinvest because they don't want to have to go through the hassle of finding another one of you. They may have searched, 50 meetings or 500 meetings to find you. And that's why there are second and third generation kids sucking off the tips because their grandfather. And all they do is they look at the name. For example, a name like this, Rothschild. If your name is legitimately Rothschild, not some bullshit, there's no amount of money you can't raise. And we haven't had a Rothschild through here, but we certainly had plenty from the big schools. And this is these kids just rode their reputation from Stanford, and you hear about a lot of kids dropping out of Stanford and going making $1 jillion. I think if I remember correctly, Elon Musk was enrolled 3 days or something, Stanford Business School. 3 days, i.e. Steve Jobs wasn't at Stanford, he was at University of Oregon or something for 8 days or 5 days. Now, just think for those of us that have gone to college, university, the first 3, how can you, other than it's bullshit, how can you tell if you're going to learn anything in 3 days? Even I didn't know I was going to, I ultimately didn't learn anything, but the people that knew me then said, because I was always inebriated, that's part of that's true, I would just come, the last bar would close at 7 a.m. in the morning. I go take a shower, go change some clothes. Maybe I didn't change clothes, and I'd be in class for my 9 o'clock class, like this, asleep, And that's why that Dr. Teeter said the only thing that's changed with Danny in 25 years is that it's confident scholar with a big fucking mouth. So I didn't make many friends, even though I was the star for a while. But this is the learning points from this are. You are who you hang around with. Stanford, easy to get money. Okay. Number one. Number two, you can turn any kind of scam into a deal. To me, this is a fucking scam. Okay. To pay kids like that, it's crazy. But they did it. And the reason why it's one of the school cases is because it was done. It was done.
I was wondering about the pitch. They're pitching this. And I didn't see any exit strategy for those investors. They were just selling this dream without accredited investors they had to be, but they didn't have a prospectus. They didn't have.
Now, really what I believe, and I've said this all along, is they sold securities illegally.
That's what
Yeah, we were
that's
talking
what I
about
was
that.
saying.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that if one of these, their old mates came back, but you sued for 35 grand? Nah. But I mean, their old mates, they sold securities. There was no prospectus. They said they were accredited, and there's certain paperwork and certain things you have to qualify to be an accredited investor. Not just there, but here as well. But I don't think...
If they didn't find a deal and it failed, the Security Commission would be on them.
Yeah, but I to the best of my knowledge, they never found a deal.
Yeah.
They looked at deals and all they did is fund themselves. Smoke joints and fucking drink cocktail drinks, beach drinks with little umbrellas. That's all the fucking did. And but there are. I mean, I'm sure everybody in this room has known somebody that either directly or indirectly you've been contacted to invest in a deal, some kind of deal, right? And normally either you can do a perfunctory, well, let me look at it, and then you say no, or you just say flat ass no, like I do, and I tell people honestly, unless I train the kid at the castle, I'm not interested in any of their deals. Yet I get on LinkedIn, I get 25 a day, more or less. Wow. And even though I tell everybody the same thing, but they think that if you don't ask, you don't get. I'll get that thrown in my face 5 or 10 times a week.
Right.
But it just goes to show, and money is 10 times easier to get now than when this was. What year was this?
2009?
At the beginning of the crisis. Yeah, it's 10, maybe 100 times easier to get money now. 100. And there are some kids. Their model is go to Stanford a semester.
So they can say they went.
Correct. Because you're an alumni, whether you went there. I think you have to have done a semester. You're an alumni.
Not 3 days.
No, not 3 days. Well, they don't count Elon as an alum. If I was Stanford, I'd count him as an alum.
Yeah.
When you go to
When
you go to the University of Pennsylvania, I mean, they make it known that one, Benjamin Franklin was the founder, and two, President Trump is the president, and 3, Elon Musk is our most successful alumni. And in terms of his valuation of Tesla, it is.